This is Jericho and Aaron with Coffee with the Summerland Kids. Reporting it live. Here we
Today
go.
I'm having. Wait, you ever had that stuff?
Is that like yerba mate or is that more espresso? There you go.
It
Instant
is
espresso.
espresso. I'm going big today, boss. I'm having a
That's
strong
awesome.
one. I literally woke up like 10 minutes ago, Jericho.
Yeah, that's amazing, bro. I just turned my light on. Yeah, so just today's a special day because I'm going to share a couple things that have never been shared before with our audience to the World Wide Web, old school. Yeah,
Yeah. All right, so
excited.
I'm gonna, I guess, bubble out and get that stuff out.
Okay,
I don't know what today's show is about. Literally just woke up, poured my first
that's
cup of
cool.
espresso.
Nice. Yeah, that's what it takes, man. Absolutely. Sounds good.
All right, I'll cue up our little surprise.
Okay, sounds
What
good.
part of it?
Yeah, cool. Awesome. So yeah, I wanted to say today is a special day because RKL, the band Rich Kids on LSD, is coming back to Santa Barbara. I think it's their first show in Santa Barbara in like 20 years. They announced a show in Vegas some time ago, and everybody's super excited about that. And then they subsequently have booked other dates. I think they played a couple San Francisco shows just in the past few days, and now they're playing tonight at Soho Music Venue in Santa Barbara. I can't go. I'm in Colorado, but they do have an online viewing option. If you go to the RKL Facebook page on Facebook, of course, you'll see that they have options to buy a pay-per-view style. So I think you get unlimited views. Of course, you get to watch the show live. They currently have a documentary film being made about them. And I spoke with the filmmaker, seemed like a really sweet guy, great intentions. Chris Rest, the lead singer, has been carrying the archive for since 1982, collecting his own history of sorts as it happened. This band was originally from Santa Barbara. They spent a lot of time in Montecito, and a group called the Cito Rats, which essentially just, kids from the neighborhood, but since it's Montecito, California, they kind of shortened it. And at some point, the Cito Rats became a thing. And those guys are, just classic characters from the neighborhood who kind of like formed a little, you could say it was a gang, but it was really just like surf buddies, skate buddies, music friends, who all sort of gravitated toward this one place in Santa Barbara, Montecito, especially the Biltmore and along the wall at Coral Casino, where us would hang out. I was technically a Summerland kid, so we called ourselves the S-Land Boys. The Summerland Kids and the S-Land Boys later. So anyways, that's a little Summerland / Montecito history. Giving it a little tribute to RKL. I pulled up my old high school yearbook, and I found this is a sticker that they used for their promotion way back in the day. So here we go. What do you got
All
there?
right, Jericho wanted me to read the lyrics of
Yep.
What song was this?
RKL song. This is called Pothead.
All right, so the song is called Pothead, and I'm gonna just read it. Smoke a doob to my forehead. It's in my mouth before I leave my bed. Can't you see? I gotta get stoned, 'cause I'm just another pothead. Without a doob, I'm totally lost. Gotta score some bud, whatever the cost. Sell me a bowl or maybe a jib, or I can't even live. It gets worse day by day. I have to smoke more to get the same way. Eyes turn red, cough up lung cheese. Gotta be ganji, never no leaves. Without a doob, I'm totally lost. Gotta score. I lost mine. Gotta score some butt. Oh wait. Hold on. Smoke more of the same. Gotta get Ganji. Never no leaf. Without a doob, I'm totally lost. Gotta get some bud, whatever the cost. Sell me bowl, maybe a gym, or I can't even live. Pothead, 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 pothead. Without a doob, I'm totally lost. Gotta score some bud, whatever the cost. Sell me a bowl or maybe a gym, or I can't even live.
Hell yeah. Great job, man. That was awesome. Classic.
How
Yeah, so
did they
those guys,
know? How did they know?
I know, it's like as kids, growing up in the neighborhood, I mean, eventually because of all of our parents' influence, of course, slightly, I mean, cultural, what is it, the Cheech and Chong, um, I mean, how you had to have known with Jimi Hendrix, Led Zeppelin, Janis Joplin, all those greats, that weed was something that was happening, you know. So
Well, weed, marijuana, the devil's grass.
yeah,
Oh no, a
I know.
seed that God grew. Now, here's an interesting. I don't know if it's a true or a fable.
Yeah,
But have you ever had a bagel with poppy seeds?
yeah,
And
I
now
like
that
them. Yeah,
used to be a big thing. Poppy seeds are illegal. Very bad to have a seed that God gave you and grow a plant that grows on this green earth. So they
right.
put it on the bagels to get it around. That's what I heard. And of
Classic.
course, marijuana or ganja, where
Yeah,
does it come from? Oh, it comes from the earth, from a seed that God in heaven created, that us
yeah,
man did not create. And what do we try to do? We tried to regulate it and tell people that what God made was bad.
right.
Oh, shame, shame, society. Shame, shame. Jah Rastafari, the Lion of Zion, Judah, and
Yeah,
also Israel. Let's not be how shall we say, prejudiced.
yeah,
Because God loves all people. He don't care. It's what's in your heart. It's what's in your heart that dictates who you are
exactly.
as a soul.
Right. Yeah.
I'll give it.
I just thought of it. Basically, the little propeller on his head. I'm thinking that's his elevation. He's actually being elevated in multiple ways at the time. I honestly never asked Chris. I'll have to ask Chris Rest at some point. What was the propeller on the guy's head all about? You know, here's the T-shirt from 19. I think it was about 1988, if I had to guess. They had a show at the Casa de la Raza venue, and they played with the. Let me see. Let me try to get better here. They played with the Ramones at the Casa de la Raza. So that's probably like Joey Ramone and the Beanie Boy there. So that was the show they played in Santa Barbara at the Casa de la Raza. So
Woo!
classic.
Bubble Boy likes that.
Bubble Boy likes that.
Bubble
Exactly.
Boy says that's cool. I want to go to the punk rock concert.
Right. Exactly. And here's the suspenders. I'm actually going to do my art on them for Aaron. And this is a part of the uniform that Bomber essentially showed up with. My good friend Bomber from childhood, when he became punk, boots like these were what he showed up in one day at the beach house in Santa Barbara, my home. Bomber walked in with wearing boots just like these, except they were steel toe, some suspenders, and a t-shirt, and his shirt was tucked in. His Levi's were tucked into the boots.
Yep.
I believe he had some bandanas wrapped around the boots, and in one day, essentially, he became punk overnight, so to speak.
Yeah.
At least
Punk rock is.
he had the uniform. Like, did he acquired the uniform officially? So maybe he
Now,
was
did Bomber ever
unofficially.
wear a bomber jacket? Those are
Oh
so cool.
yeah, I
Bomber
brought that with
jackets.
me too. So
Sweet.
here's another necessity item. It's sort of like the it's the go-to thing that you get. Here it is. So it's the leather jacket that you have to essentially at some point in your life, when you step up to the level, you get your leather jacket, and you think
The rooster likes it, man. Even the
yeah,
rooster's like, wow, that's cool.
I know. I got this in the thrift store. So, the acquisition or the ownership of a leather jacket as a young person, as a teenager, to me, it's like a transformational moment, in your life. When you get that jacket and you write your favorite band name on the back, and all of a sudden you just feel like, Kurt Russell and Escape from New York or something. I mean, you're just an instant badass, right away.
Oh, absolutely. Leather jackets are expensive too. Gosh, I think my dad he was a motorcycle guy.
Yeah, I
Um,
thought about that.
and he had this leather jacket, and he's big like me, so it took him forever to find the right one that fit. And I'm such an idiot. Of course, I lost it.
Oh
But
man,
when
yeah,
I wore that jacket, there's the weight. It's not hot. It's not cold. Even out in the sun, it like insulates you from the sun. It insulates you from the cold. It insulates you if you fall off your motorcycle, so you don't get scraped up.
yeah.
Leather jackets, like I think he paid over $500
Oh,
for
probably
it
so.
new.
It's probably a super rad one. And that. You think that was in the '60s or was that early '70s? If you were.
That was the one that I got. It was actually a newer one. He
Oh,
had
okay.
gotten it he had gotten a new enduro motorcycle, so he quit riding the choppers.
Okay.
And he lived up in the mountains, so he needed a motorcycle that could get past the trail. So he had a big dual sport,
Yeah.
big, like super tall. I could barely stand on it, and I'm tall.
Wow.
But he's a little bit taller than me, and
That's
just
cool.
the enduro, and what you're doing, like explaining how the uniform, right?
Yeah.
How suspenders,
The
boots,
guys.
and
Yeah. The
I've always
suspenders, the
thought
boots.
like I kind of am a chameleon, right? You look at
Yeah.
some of my pictures from back over the years. I got the business suit and the short hair, or I got the goatee and the leather jacket and the goatee, or now I got the long beard and the hair, and it's a costume. You present yourself. I mean, I did a lot of study when I was learning business and public speaking. It's almost like you put on a uniform to present. You put on if you're wearing a shirt that says security, automatically you dress apart.
Yeah.
People
For
know.
sure.
And so I always thought that was interesting. I've done social experiments where I would, go clean cut with a tie. Like I would go in one day all roughed out from coming down from the mountains and go into a store. Same guy, same
Yeah.
money, same project. And then go shave and come in with a collared shirt.
Right.
They don't recognize me. They treat me totally different, yet I haven't. And then I would do the comedy routine and they would look in my eyes and go, whoa. So I think that just a uniform, just a shirt can change someone's perspective of you.
Yeah.
And it's
Exactly.
like,
Imagine like
wow.
if five guys roll up on motorcycles and leather jackets, it has a presence. I feel like the punk rock movement, like in the early '70s, in Europe, these guys they sort of nailed down what it was, and I believe they, to me, the bikers was their predecessor in some way, just in theory. That, and also before them, the cowboy culture, coming from that. But just that it just gives you a feeling of badass when you put on the leather jacket.
Absolutely. And like you're saying with culture, and music and stuff, because I remember I wasn't necessarily into the hard punk rock, and I did like the punk rock, and then there was like a kind of a more rockabilly punk rock, like the
Yeah,
Stray Cats, and then you
yeah,
had the ska kind of
yeah,
had this. They had the suspenders and the boots a lot of times,
yeah.
and I just love how, especially now in the modern age, these uniforms, these groups, they kind of have overlap.
Oh yeah.
Right. Just because you're a surfer doesn't mean you can't hang with the football jocks anymore. I mean, it used to be, oh, you're a jock, you're a surfer, get off our local beach, whatever. And now it's
Right.
like, okay, I can ride up on my chopper and go to church.
Yeah, it's like that movie Wild Hogs when they go on like with men doing their own thing, and women too. I mean, the ladies got to hand it to you guys for pioneering a whole fashion scene under on your own style. During those early years of just putting on something you found at the thrift store, and whether you're painting on it or ripping it or whatever, it just like it became cool. Like you could essentially wear what a grandmother would wear, but you're like 17 and a punk rock chick, and it's like it's totally acceptable. Obviously,
Yeah, and like
you know.
I like car shows.
Yeah,
I'm not
totally.
I wouldn't say I'm a motorhead. I can't really work on cars with my fingers the way they are
Mhm.
um anymore, but I still love them.
Right.
And you go to these motorhead conventions, and I don't know what style they call it, but it feels like 50s because they got these older cars and they dress up in that 50s kind of similar to the punk rock girls with the
Yeah.
bandanas and like you're saying, the 50s style clothes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it could be anyone in that costume. It could be anyone. It could be a multi-billionaire. It could be,
Oh, for sure.
someone that doesn't have a bunch of money, but they just like that style.
Yeah.
Um, and anywhere
Exactly.
in between. You could be an accountant, a lawyer, but when you're in that uniform, you're a car guy. You're a
Oh,
car
right.
guy. I'll tell you that right now.
No, for sure. And I had a realization the other day. I pulled into our street. So I pulled into my little street, and I get out of the car. I'm going to go to my mailbox, and I see this Camaro pull out of the next door neighbor's driveway, like a little ways away. And I raised my arms up like, dude. And he's like, Brett, just rev by, and I'm like, right then I thought to myself, dude, these cars are like they're forever collectible, and the values are just going to go up even more because they only made so many of them, and they have the VIN numbers, and they like, oh, we only made 500 of this edition, or whatever it is. But a lot of those cars were crashed because they were super souped up hot rods, and some 25-year-old dude was driving them and broke it in half on a freaking telephone pole. So that one's out of the line. Now we only have 999 left. So
Yeah. I think that that's a big thing in car culture. I knew some when I was doing my vending business and had my warehouse, a guy a
yeah.
couple doors back and a couple doors over, he restored like these Model Ts and Model
Oh,
A's.
wow.
And so sometimes he would buy just that ID plate
Oh, shit.
so he could put together an entire car from various parts, but get it registered and driving on the road. And he'd drive around
Wow.
town in these old cars, perfectly restored.
That's
And
amazing.
he had always like 3 or 4 of them going on, parts, looking for parts. And
Right.
every few months or so, one would roll out drivable. And it
That's
is
cool.
just so neat to not only see those cool cars done, but see them when they come in and see what it really takes to hunt down those hard to find parts and all that.
Yeah. It's
Everyone thinks, oh, the car, I want the car, I want the car. But as car guys, we're like, once we're done with one, we're like, okay, where's the next? Where's the next? Let's go on a journey.
that's the truth.
Let's go.
It's like being a kid again in some cases because you're trying to find that car you had as a kid or as a young person when your first car or your second. Oh, I should have never sold my Mustang. There's always that. You know.
Yeah, and like the other day, I went to the thrift store. I sent you a bunch of because I walked in and I seen this display of ties. So
Yeah.
I sent you a picture. I'm like, oh, there's just like my whole life is synchronizing. And oh, go to the beach. There's even a sign, go to the beach, and some ripsticks. There was actually 2 of them, one for you, one for
Were
me.
they surfboards,
No,
ripsticks?
ripsticks. They're like skateboards that have the
Oh yeah, the
swivel.
little those ones that rock back and forth. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just thought synchronous. And then I found out on the truck I picked 1970 that
That's so
I got to
cool.
find me a 71, I guess.
Right. Yeah. It's
But
amazing with with car culture and like coinciding with skateboard culture every season, every year, new stuff came out during our time being alive, 1970s, 1980s. It was like every season, it was like such an upgrade. You essentially had to get new gear, whether it was worn out or not. It was like you were obligated to buy the new stuff every year, or at least desired
Oh,
to.
absolutely.
Yeah. So I brought a funny
Absolutely.
picture. This is
Jericho.
yeah.
They have a new button for me.
Oh,
Let me see if I can. I want to see what it does. Because I
nice.
think I can put your side bigger. Oh, yeah. Here's what I do. I go like this.
Okay.
I think I put. I'm still learning, but I want to get the picture big so that everyone can
Go
see
ahead.
that picture. Wait, how do I check it to you? Okay. I'm still learning. I'm still playing. Boy, let's go back to the
No, it's
regular
all good, man.
picture again.
There we go. That's cool. So that's Bomber right there, looking funny. And there's a little baby. And I think this was a postcard that said like expose your children to the wild side or something like that. And that's Bohawk. That's Bohawk right here. So Bohawk's no longer with us, and that's Bomber. He's no longer with us either. I'm not sure about the baby and the kid, but a Brooks photography student shot that picture. I just thought I'd bring that in and show you the classic. You know,
No,
that was the
that's
State
cool
Arcade
because
days. Those were the older
the State
kids at the
Arcade.
State
I think
Arcade
I
back in
remember
the day.
them because we
Yeah,
would take the
they were
bus
just
and
a
ride our
little
bikes from
they
to
were
State
just a little
Street
group of kids.
Arcade.
You know, I mean, the State Arcade in the 1980s, man. You know, if we figured it out, I think it's like 82. It was for sure there because that one game. It's not Excalibur. It's not Joust. But it had an animated vibe. It was another level of
Dragon Slayer.
Dragon's Lair. When Dragon's Lair arrived, it was like, oh my freaking god! You know, like it's gone to the realism because at first it was like we were on Atari 2600 and shit was like it was like, yeah, that's a man. He's got little legs, but it's like the 8-bit little squares bouncing along. But of course, the arcade, it was just that much more real. And it seemed, you know, like the monkey in Donkey Kong, you know, he looked just like a monkey. He was real, you know. But Dragon's Lair was like some sort of Disney badassery with like a laser disc inside or something. I read a little bit about it. It's fucking.
I remember that was the big thing. It was
cool.
like laser, and you'd make your move.
Yeah.
And depending on what move you're with, it would like go to a new scene depending on your move. A whole like little mini movie, little mini cartoon.
Right.
I love that game. I put so many dollars in that game. And then when I was in high school,
too. I think they got us for 50 cents on that one instead of 25.
I think so. But when I was in high school, one of the guys I knew that was a bassist and a guitarist had one of those Dragon Slayer games in his living room.
No way. Wow.
Yeah, and we would play hours and hours for free. But you know, when we were kids, it was different than when you're grown. You know, high school. It's like, yeah, video games. I got girls on the mind. I'm in high school now.
Yeah. Wow. So just those good old days. So RKL's playing tonight. I bought my ticket. I'm going to watch it. I paid $15 to watch the live feed tonight. So I'm going to check that out. Hopefully it all syncs up, you know. There's Wonder Cat. Yay! Yeah, I love cats, man. We've always had cats at home, you know. I missed them when I was on my own. I didn't have any cats while I was on my own, except my cat Reet. I took him with me, and I eventually retired him to Mom's place when I was in Los Angeles. But anyway,
look what we got. We got a cat's tail.
Yeah, catch him by the tail, exactly. So, yeah, so Aaron and I are originally from Summerland, California, as some of you may know, and we grew up in a really magical little beach town and just feel super blessed because back then it was probably like, I would call it like, I mean, it wasn't pushing middle class. I mean, it was like normal class, I want to call it. Like, it wasn't like low. We didn't even talk about the classes back then, really. You just kind of.
No. I remember I always thought that, you know, I always thought that we were poor because my mom told me.
Okay. Yeah.
And I looked at someone like you, and I'm like, oh, that guy's rich. He lives in a mansion. But
yeah,
you know, But back then
Yeah.
it was really a couple $100 a month payment difference.
Yeah. I mean, I remember
And but as kids, it wasn't about like it is nowadays. Oh, you're in the private school. I got a suit and tie, and I've got a light tie today.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But I think it's really weird how culture, you look at India and the class or caste system, and everyone talks about the middle class,
Right.
and the elites and stuff. And I just look at my belief and think that humans are humans. I've seen the richest people with the most money be the most miserable in their hearts. And I've
Right.
seen some of the poorest people I know that are just the most wonderful, rich people in their souls.
Right.
And I think eventually, hopefully, society will allow for that. Obviously, everyone's different. Not everyone wants gold-plated eggs. Some people like farm fresh eggs.
Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah, we saw it a lot in Santa Barbara. And of course, to me, what you're saying, I recognize the houses in Montecito, and then there was a couple country clubs that you had to be a member. Like the Coral Casino down there by the Biltmore in Montecito was definitely like another level of, citizenship or whatever. Like to be a member, you had to pay. I think nowadays it might even be like $3,000 a month or something like that to be a member of the Coral Casino. So you definitely have to have like what do you say, disposable income, or you just want a really nice place to drop the kids off so they can swim in the pool privately.
Yeah. That privacy thing is a big one. But
Yeah.
and then so I always thought you were rich. You were right. You were rich because you didn't have to walk 3 blocks to the beach. All you had to do was walk down the trail.
Oh, right. Well,
But then my mom
spirit.
took me to one of her friends, and I spent the day. And these people were rich. Like their kitchen was as big as my whole house. They had a yard that was nearly as big as all of Summerland. You know how those estates are up there on the hill in Summerland.
Absolutely.
And it was interesting because I even though it was just a kid, I'm like, wow, he's got all the toys, he's got everything. But I could tell even as a kid, he had something in his eye, a sadness, right? Because his mom and dad weren't there to take care of him. He had a nanny whose job it was. So he was literally in this giant house on this giant estate alone with a servant. That was his life.
Wow. Was that down on El Padero Lane, or was that?
That was up in the hills. Like when we drove up there, I think we drove by Ofra.
Okay. Yeah, right. Yeah, Oprah came along later. I remember seeing Steve Martin and like Michael Douglas walking down by the Miramar, because back in the day, the Miramar, they had a bar there at the Miramar. So
didn't Sean's mom work at the Miramar?
I don't know. Sean Durrell?
I think so. I think I would go over to his house sometimes and we'd play Atari and eat cinnamon toast.
Oh, right. Yeah, exactly. His mom actually was, I think she was in the airline industry.
Maybe, and it might be. I might have been thinking of someone else because it's been so long.
Yeah, I know, it's wild.
And when we're kids, we're just like, yeah, let's go play with Sean. Let's go play with Steve, and then some of them you spent more time with, like Taylor and you.
Yeah,
I'll never forget Taylor. I'll never forget you.
I spoke to him not too long ago. He's doing really good. He just had a grandson. Taylor had a son who's now like, let's call him a 20-something, early 20-something. Now his son had a son. So he's got this great grandchild. It's amazing, man.
Are they as wild as he was? Ready?
I don't know, man. I think his son actually is a chip off the old block, for sure.
All right.
Yeah. So, just classic, because it's interesting how within our DNA, it really just breaks off, and it's like essentially you replicate yourself in some ways, and then it's like you're shining yourself back on yourself, and you're going, oh shit, where's he getting that from? It's built in, man. He's pre-programmed. Yeah.
My rooster laughs. That was the rooster laugh. I'm laughing. That is like, I looked at my son and I'm like, uh-oh, poor kid. He's
Yeah.
gonna have to deal with all that stuff of being a human.
Yeah. Well,
Oh, there
get
is one thing I
another
did want to
show,
show
man.
you, Jericho.
What's
New.
that?
What's that look like behind me now?
Looks like a calendar, man.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna
Hell
get
yeah,
my
bro.
life organized.
Yeah. This is episode 21 of Coffee with the Summerland Kids. We're what is it? We're rocking out numbers. We're putting down the numbers. We're laying down the grid.
Hey, 21, Jericho.
Yeah.
3 times 7. That's double luck.
Wow, man. Yeah, it's big time. I mean, it's cool just to have these conversations and be able to shout out to friends, bands, and all that kind of good stuff, and just our memories. It's keeping ourselves sharp and with it. Especially since it's freaking 7 a.m. California time. You're approaching 8, whatever. But it's here we go.
No, I woke up this morning at it was literally like 6:40, 6:45.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need my cup. And then Tigger jumped into my cup.
Right? That's freaking awesome.
One thing I like about Tigger is the most wonderful thing about Tigger is I'm the only one.
Yeah, exactly.
And every single viewer, every single person they may not be a Tigger.
Yeah.
But they're the only one. They're unique. They're special. They're wonderful.
Exactly.
And I appreciate that you're there. I appreciate that you're here because this is so cool. Jericho, it's 31 minutes. We didn't get our station break. You want to go another 10 minutes today or 15 minutes? Whatever. It's Friday.
Yeah, we're good. We'll keep going.
All right, cool. We're just casual.
Totally, man. So I got something I can read to us. A little thing that my friend Bomber wrote. And Bomber, I reconnected with Bomber after childhood. I waited like.
Hey, Jericho, can we do a little something different? I'm going to try and put you on the big screen and me over in the corner. So that way, let's see if I can do this.
Flip it.
I think I can flip it. I think.
I got to thank you for the technical aspect of all this stuff. It's pretty awesome. Yeah. So there we go. That's cool. So I brought something. Today that my friend Bomber wrote to me as like an inspirational piece because I was working on a website back then and trying to like get my artistic flow going. So he wrote this one page. One page. So he says the top it's titled "Some Ideas." He says, like a great film or album sequence, make sure there's enough mystery. Start off with a boom, but leave the parameters. Example, top and bottom of your gnarliest for the plot or the 3/4 point. Like a waveform emotionally, lead them through your world in a way that's so clever, each individual has room for their own interpretation. Like Robert Plant's lyrics, interpretive, but brilliantly so as the patron feels responsible for their discovery and gets a fan-like sense of being a part of something that they themselves are growing with. As always, leave them wanting more. And he has a diagram on the back that essentially shows a welcome page, and then a staircase going upward. The staircase goes upward, and it goes up. The person travels up, and then they get hit with a hammer off into a bubble of question, and then they go down into a wow sense of wonder, and then they fall, and they can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and it takes them higher as the light at the end of the tunnel. They travel upwards, higher, to a orgasmic level at the top, and then they're hammered. Then they fall into a price list with options. So this is essentially like a Bomber template for a website. So I'm probably gonna send this off to Chris, but I'll make sure to copy it for us so we have it, because it's a brilliant like little template for self-discovery as well as a template for success essentially. So there we go.
I love it. I can you show the picture on the back?
Yeah, it's pretty let me see. It's hard to see It's a little. It's
Oh,
a
it
big.
looks like one of those $1 billion napkin
Yeah,
drawings.
it's a total napkin drawing. So it doesn't really come across well here. I'd probably have to scan it to get it
No,
to show you.
it comes across enough. I imagine
Yeah.
you got a little bit of an explanation when you got that.
No, I did, and he basically because I remember distinctly for sure he showed up to the Summerland house because I met him and his mom in Ventura, and it was like we just saw each other for the first time in probably 15, 20 years or something like that. And I told his mom, I told her I got it. I can take care of him. She's like, really, you can take care of him. I'm like, yes, I can take care of him. It was almost like as if she was dropping her son off with me to be taken care of. But I didn't think of it in that way. I just thought I'm hanging out with my bro, But I didn't really realize that he was coming off a drug binge, if you will, from 20 years of probably some up and down serious ride that he'd been on in San Francisco with his music and his band and sex and drugs and rock and roll for real. That's what his life was like. But I took him out of all that and got him a place to live. He showed up with literally probably mismatched socks, a pair of shorts, and a t-shirt. That's all he had to his name.
Yeah, that's really interesting because like we were having all these synchronicities. Me and my girlfriend we always talk about things, and one of the things we talk about is how hard it is to go from that rock bottom
Yeah.
to even have a chance to get one step up.
Right.
Without support. And I don't know if we were joking around or serious, but we're like, oh, yeah, the $10 million Summerland property deal.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, I don't want to live in the city or that. What if we were to take and make it like a homeless halfway or a recovery home, right? Because like what you're saying, you're taking your friend out of this crazy city where it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And you're dropping them in Summerland.
Yep, dropping him in Summerland. And then he basically the first day I took him to the beach. And I had been up all night because I had done a special event that night. And so we were kind of on the same level of fatigue. So I took him to the beach in Summerland. We just laid there in the sand like we were kids again and just soaked up the sun rays, and it was just really it was really special, man. That's all I can say about that. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I know that he was your good friend and you lost him. I don't know exactly, but I know that that's super heartfelt. But like I can feel it with you, you and him. That day is very special for you, but
yeah,
people don't realize that just taking that day to lay it with nothing to do, lay at the beach, soak up the rays.
yeah.
It's okay. It's okay. You don't have to feel like, oh, I got to get the world's demanding so much from me. It's okay if I just relax today. Let me just take a day for the beach because you're like a solar panel recharging your soul, recharging your body for your vitality, your emotions. So much happens in that rest. People talk about the day of rest or whatever.
Yeah. No, it's
so
key.
vital. It's so vital.
It really is.
And I'm just thinking about some of the people I've lost, and I'm just trying to be here with you.
Yeah, no, totally.
Because that's a deep thing you just shared, with the whole world. That's awesome.
So as soon as we got off the beach and, basically it was a synchronistic time where some roommates of mine at the time were going on a surf trip to like Nicaragua or something awesome. So one of my friends said, I'd like to sublet my room while I'm gone. So I got Bomber a room because at first the accommodations were essentially sleeping on the floor in my room, and I gave him my clothes, everything he needed to get him like just acclimated and summer landing again,
Yeah.
And, so from there, I got him a room for like a couple months. And then he's like, dude, I need a piano. I'm like, what? Like, so I called this company and literally had a piano dropped off at the house. It cost me $50 a month. But I'm like, fuck it, man. My friend needs a piano. If he wants a piano, I'm getting him a piano. It was like, I was working full time. It was no big deal, So that gave him his focus was his music. So he was playing original classical music without reading the music. He was just making music. So that was like therapy for him, was just coffee, a little weed, and his piano, and he's in heaven. You know, that was his zone. So, anyways,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
So
feel it because like
that's on
I
that's
play
on
instruments. I play instrument. Oh, sorry.
yeah,
I got inspired by how
yeah,
music can what they say it soothes the savage beast. Music calms. Music
exactly.
heals. And I'm just thinking about my music experience, and like I used to get in these situations, mental or life or whatever, and I would just pick up the guitar with my 3 chords or my simple scales and really no written music, just playing practice scales or whatever, and just come up with these musics. That's just like, oh, it just comes,
Yeah,
it bubbles up. It just comes out the fingers, and you're just like, oh,
no, for
let's do
sure.
this. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if anyone thinks it's good or bad, because it feels good just to do it. It's like so amazing.
Yeah,
We're 10 minutes in, 10 minutes
yeah,
past the half hour. I don't have stuff today.
that's
Today's a
cool.
relaxed day for me,
Nice,
mostly
man.
until three
That's awesome.
o'clock. So um,
Yeah,
if you want to stay, otherwise I can queue up the close. We can shut without the
yeah.
music.
I'll finish out. Look, well, I got a little more story to tell. Um, so
All
yeah,
right,
go
all
ahead.
right. I'm gonna bubble out the cats.
Okay,
The cat's at my
sounds
foot
good.
trying to get something.
So basically,
Oh,
when Bomber, I asked him one time. Bomber was like a childhood friend of mine, and Bomber came back into my life after being gone for 20 years. It was a reuniting of sorts. And once he came back, um, what was I was going to say? Got him a piano, got him up and running, and then I did have a show in 2003 because I had gotten back from Colorado at that point. So I put on this show called it was Jericho's Back. It was actually Rock and Roll Rest Home Volume One. I called it. So I got a venue in Santa Barbara to throw this party. Essentially, a bunch of musical guests that I had appearing that night. I rented another piano, but that time I rented a baby grand piano and had that dropped off at the nightclub for the one night show. And Bomber went to the costume shop and got himself the whole white wig, like he was Bach or Mozart or something on the piano. So he had to, because he wasn't really he wasn't writing music. I mean, he wrote music, of course, but lyrically, but in terms of the musical notes, it was just all out of his head. So he had to sit down and play some music that night, and I have a recording of it. It's pretty awesome, and a bunch of other musical guests, blah blah blah. And then I eventually took Bomber to Burning Man, and let me see if we can find that picture. Oh, here's the picture. So this is a picture of us at Burning Man. That's my trailer, and you can see the post there. Bomber's actually bending down. Bomber's right there. So that's us setting up at Burning Man. So on the desert, and taking Bomber to Burning Man was literally like taking Yoda with you on a road trip. You know, it was completely hilarious because the guy he lived on coffee, cigarettes, and weed. So as long as I had him like taken care of in that regard, he was good. And we ended up going to a health food store in San Francisco to like get our groceries for the trip, but we ended up with like seaweed and all sorts of weird stuff that was like, dude, we're gonna be spending a week in the desert, and all we have is like seaweed and like I don't know what oatmeal or something. You know, it's like, so thank God for the people of Burning Man. Someone had a camp called Food Lab, so Food Lab fed us for the most part of the duration of the trip. So blessed be the neighbors that you unexpectedly coincide and neighbor with that actually end up saving your ass when you're in between the sun and the desert. You got someone's got to help you when you're not the best prepared. So, anyways.
but did you share your
Yeah, no, I'm
cigarettes?
sure he shared his cigarettes with people, and people for him it was like because Burning Man is like, I mean, it can be heaven or hell, I guess, for people because some people go there. They have a relationship guide that Burning Man has written for couples that go to Burning Man together, because the experience as a couple going to an event like that can be a make or break, essentially, because there's all
Yes.
the modern in today's society, the if there's something you're desiring, it will be presented in front of you, whether you want it or not, and your partner may not agree with that, your desire. So it's like your inner self comes out. Um,
It gets
it's real quick,
real quick
So all
in
of
the
a sudden,
desert.
you might be dancing. I mean, not myself, but in his case, he might be dancing with a bunch of naked men or something, and that's his dream. But it's not my dream. But it's, So I wasn't ever. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm what do you call it? A regular dude. In terms of like I like girls, but Bomber was an early. I think he's probably the first friend of mine that came out as gay, essentially. So, but it never bothered me. I mean, he's just a eccentric dude, So, anyways, Burning Man's a wild place, and for radical self-expression, that's for sure.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Concerts can be life transformative. It can build stronger bonds and relationships. Sure. It can break bonds. Any kind of event like that. There's an extreme. There's an extreme on that roller coaster. There's highs, there's lows, and how people can tolerate or respond to whatever it is. Like you're saying, that Burning Man guide for couples. How can you go into a life transformation prepared enough so that when you see that dark side, you're able to swing it to see that light side. You're able to take that bright bearded sun that's in my eyes and shift it just a little bit to get some rainbows.
No, for sure. It's amazing. I mean, the cause and effect of it all, it's transformational. It was for me, at least. I mean, the first year going there, it gave me an opportunity to show my art and make it set up, put it in the desert, and it really was all on my own dime. I self-funded the trip, took a time out from work and did it, and took Bomber with me, and we came back, and coming back to society after something like that, you definitely feel like, oh man, that was. It takes you a few days to decompress, and Burning Man actually has a decompression party, like a month afterwards, for everybody to get back together again, but in the city.
So cool.
Fun. Yeah,
that's
amazing.
wild.
You really feel like for some, and in those early years, like 2003, I mean, it had already been going on for probably more than a decade by the time I made it to the event. So it was very, well along and very sophisticated. Even now, 20 years ago, it was pretty darn, pioneering and amazing. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. I got the cats. I gotta get the cats. I woke up late. Didn't get the cats. Didn't get the chickens fed.
Thank you, man, for this opportunity to get us getting together. Really appreciate it. Episode 21, Summerland Coffee with the Summerland Kids.
21. Have an awesome weekend, Jericho. Send me some pictures for sure. Send me some pictures of the project that you got going over the weekend. Sure, man.
Have a great weekend.
Oh yeah. We do the ta-ta for now.
Do me a favor and share episode 20 and 21 right now if you can.
Yeah, I do my uploads on Friday, so I'll do it right now. I don't got to rush off.
Have a great day. Cheers, everybody. Thank you. All right.